Facebook then. Can you hear me? Nope. Lost you. Nope.
I may or may not have muted myself.
There you are.
Sorry. I had to blow my nose. I didn't think that was, I thought it was a little rude to blow my nose without being.
Oh, it changed the stream key on Facebook.
It did.
Hold on. No, it's the same key.
Okay.
All right. Do you want me to press that button first?
Yeah, press it.
I don't know why it's low latency again on my side. That sucks. Hold on.
Are you on Wi-Fi or hard line?
Wi-Fi, and that's probably why.
I switched to my hard line for this crap.
Okay. Man, that sucks. I mean, I can go run. I can't do anything tonight, but I can go run a longer cord, a physical cord.
Well, and it's just the live. It'll be fine for the recording part of it. I mean, we could switch over to just going live directly in Facebook Live and do it that way this week if you want.
No, we're good the way we're doing it. Okay, you ready if I press the Facebook Live button?
Sure.
Setting up the live stream. Ellery hates it when I do this. Ellery hates it when I do this. Dun, 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 dun. All right, here comes. And there's YouTube right there. Okay. Cool. Well, we're live on Facebook.
We are live on Facebook. I see it. We got
live on the tubes of you.
Anybody joins, I will monitor the chat. Turn my phone off.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. There we go.
Oh, boy.
Andrew Houston, Louis Calderon are watching with me while I watch myself and look longingly at Chris.
I am apparently being streamed through a potato, so that's why I look like that. So people are going to have to survive. Apparently, my potato does not connect too well.
It looks better on Facebook. No big deal.
No worries. All good.
Well, should we give it a couple of seconds?
I think we can fire it up. I mean, whenever you want. I see some comments coming through. I see Marco and Mr. Houston. It's not Houston Cloud. It's Houston Shine. I'm going to start a competing business called Houston's Cloud right in Myrtle Beach.
Is that like rain seeding, like cloud seeding? Is that what that's for?
Either that or I just come and spray Houston Shines all of his cars that he did, and I just spray them with water after they've been coated.
I like that. Well, hey guys, welcome to Chris and Kevin, or K-Dog and Chrissy D's. No, wait, that's our rap review show.
Oh my god! Don't bring it up.
That we do on Wednesdays. So tune in on Wednesday night for our rap review show, brought to you by K-Dog and Chrissy D. No,
oh my god!
This is Kevin Davis from Cruise Control, brought to you by Details Roadmap, also known as Roadmap. I'm here with Chris DiGiovanni, who is my friend, my boss, my mentor. Thanks for
coming. Look at that double mentorship.
Yeah, appreciate you. Hey, this is going to be something we do every couple of weeks if we can, a couple of times a month, bi-monthly, and which is that also bi-weekly? Isn't that weird? The English language is bi-weekly, means twice a week, and also every other week.
Is it bi-weekly or is it bi-monthly? It's bi-weekly, right?
I think they mean both.
Oh my god,
it's so dumb. That's why no one can learn how to speak English. But we're going to try to do
for saying what word I really think that is.
we're going to try to do this a couple times a month, schedules permitting. And we're just here to kind of walk through some different stuff, give the state of the union, so to speak, for Detailers Roadmap, what's going on there. We've got so much coming and so much being released right now. It's crazy. I introed a podcast the other day, and took me like 3 minutes just to intro all the cool crap that we've got going on right now. So why don't we start with just like, hey, here's the overview of what's going on with Detailers Roadmap right now.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a good, perfect segue to later on of you've been bringing up like challenging times and slow times and stuff like that. And there's a reason why we're coming out with all this stuff right now. So in case anyone doesn't know, when detailers are busy, we're slow. And when detailers are slow, roadmap is busy. It's kind of like the polar opposite of what happens. And so kind of some new things that are coming out.
And why is that, Chris? You can dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain behavior. There's a certain behavior that businesses do, right? Like, because we're a marketing agency, and guess what people don't spend money on when they are busy, even though they should.
Yep. Yeah. So and I'll bring up a couple people today as a perfect example is that when detailers are busy and they're taking calls and they can accept stuff on the spot, they can take a ceramic coating lead, they can take a PPF, a tint lead. They're busy working that lead, installing it. They're just taking too many phone calls. Maybe leads get lost or left behind. And then they automatically forget to keep marketing, keep having conversations because they're so. Not everybody. I mean, it's definitely a stereotype. Not everybody is doing this, but I'd say a vast majority get into a technician mindset where they do, right? They go into activate and do mode. Whereas and the perfect example I can say is I called 20 shops in June and I got 2 answers on the phone. And these were shops that did either 100K or 5K a month or 10K a month. It was kind of all over the place. And to me, you can almost point it right on the nose. 6 weeks later, if they're not answering the phone, what are they going to do? They're going to scream in about 6 weeks and say, I'm slow. And I'm immediately going to go in the back of my head, did you answer that freaking call when I called you for your one month follow-up on the site, or how's SEO going? Because I do a lot of that stuff. It's that technician mindset, man, that burns people up, that they lose a lot of money. And I hate saying that. I hate. Let me take 10 grand now and then lose 20 grand next month because I was just paying attention to the moment,
Well, and not having a strategic marketing plan for the entire year, right? Like you should be able to look at a calendar and see exactly what you're doing every month of the year.
Yep.
And that should change. And, that's not just whether you're marketing or not. It's also how you're marketing, back to school stuff, pre-winter stuff, post-winter stuff, prepare for summer, all of these different promotions that the retail space does really well. And I think shops do very poorly. And that could be any shop really, or any small businesses. Small businesses are just not very good at it. And it's not because I think it's just it's that feast or famine mentality. But unfortunately, when we're feasting, we forget about the famine. And that's really the underlying problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, feast or famine. Are you a victor or you're a victim of your own mentality? Are you going to change kind of what's going on right now? I see Matt Blackmer messaging. I've called Matt a couple times. I've gotten a couple no answers. And just we're even doing it. Like Roadmap is literally doing a use case of this right now. Roadmap has come out with more landing pages, this new instant price generator, our Google Business Acceleration program. Why do you think this is occurring right now? It's because usually we're slower in June, July, August because detailers or ceramic coating or tint shops are generally not calling as much. And so that's fine. We're maintaining, but these are things that we've had in the bucket for almost a year, but there's really no point in doing them in the middle of February, March, April, when we can assign a process to it. So to Kevin's point, who's the director of revenue development, we've been talking about this stuff since January. Like we could have rolled this out in January, but to Kevin's point, we're launching stuff when we know we're historically going to be somewhat in a slow or a flattening. And that for us, our business, that's exactly what happens every year. This June, July, August. So
and there's a market timing, right? For us too. I mean, it's like if we dump it in January, we may have some demand for it, but we're also going to have higher demand. And this is like a peek behind the curtain, right? But for our particular services and some of the things we'll talk about today, it's like this is a perfect time to do it because, people are sweating a little bit, right? So they may be interested in a particular level of product that we can offer more so now than they were in February. Yep. More, and so I say that as a peek behind the curtain into our own business, but also in the businesses. If you're a shop, you need to be doing the same things. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to offer this particular package, this particular service or product at a given time that makes the most sense to go to the market.
Yeah. And exactly. And I think you talked about this with Bob, and you talked about this with Michael DeAndrea and the whole coverage, all those people. It's July, right? Mm-hmm. It's not too late to start thinking about just a simple newsletter that you can start kicking out by September, right? When you're traditionally, people start slowing down right around August because of kids. So we kind of have like a 3-4 week heads up right now. Like right now, I'm telling you, you're going to be slow. You're going to be slow in a few weeks here. I'm just letting everyone know right now. You're going to see some sort of hindrance into your lead volume. So we can plan now. And if you're planning now for your slowdown in August, why not plan that November and December and January, right? Which are historically slow. If you do tint, PPS, ceramic coating, you tend to have a fall down right there. So,
and I mean, honestly, you can't really, some things you have to be prepared for that you can't predict, right? Like it's mid-July. The world is going absolutely ape crap right now in the last 2 weeks in the United States anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's just so much politically happening that's just off the charts. And what that does is it freaks people out and people stop spending because they're freaked out and they're staying at home watching their television all day, right? Watching news or on their phone or whatever. So that affects consumer confidence, which affects, I mean, I've seen that in our own retail stuff too. It's like, one day it'll be great, one day, and then 3 days of crickets, depending on what the news cycle is.
Yeah. And, the funny thing is like, here's the state of the union is like the guys that are kind of like freak out now till August, they freak out in February and March. If you go look back and how they do social media, if they're doing Google business, if they're doing ads, if they're doing SEO, if they're making changes to the website, it's almost universally a no. Almost every single time. The guys that are going to call us in the next 3-4 weeks that are slow, the first thing I do is I go look at their Google business. I go look if they're doing ads. If I go look if they're doing social media, and they're almost never doing it. Technician mindset again. Once again, technician mindset pulled through. You don't get me wrong, you'd probably delivered the best quality of work when someone was right in front of your face asking for it, but you didn't make social media posts. You didn't do newsletters. You didn't stay on your ads. The guys that are not calling me stayed on the gas the whole time. Stayed on the gas every time.
And is that a skill set thing? Is it a learned thing? Is it a personality thing? What has kind of been your observation? I may know my own answer to that, but like, why do people lean towards that? Like it just seems really strange that unless it's your first year business, right? You're still learning, but if you've been around for a while, it's just an easy habit to get into sometimes.
Yeah, I think, and I definitely had it, right? Like I started Roadmap and agency and it was myself for quite a long time. I think it comes down to, are you making enough money to delegate? And are you willing to do the delegation knowing that you will not get 100% out of every single person? And you have to be okay with that. That being said, if you find the right people, you train them on SOPs, they can not only do as good of you, they could probably do stuff better. Like,
right.
I cannot talk to people the way Kevin talks to people. I cannot run a podcast the way Kevin does. I cannot inspire people like Kevin does. Kevin is clearly better at this than I am. You know, you have to, in my mind, you have to have enough money. You have to make enough money off of your products to delegate what you know is missing in the business. So if you know you suck at ads, maybe we don't do tint for $200. Maybe we only do tint at $350 and above, or PPF. If you know that your money maker is a $2,500 one, you know, maybe you put in that stuff, but people don't know their costs. And I think that really, in the end, bites them, and then they get afraid to delegate. And it doesn't always have to be an employee. I think that's a common misconception, is that like, I need to hire. Like, you can find people who can help you out with social media fairly cheap, and websites, you know, versus trying to build it yourself or whatever. But delegation, you won't know until you try it a few times. And it's not going to be a hit run, you know, home run, hit run. That's a different, right? I'd like to do a hit run today. Oh, really? I don't think you're at the baseball field, you psychopath. I think you're driving a car. You know, I think if you do the understanding that it won't be a home run and it's a working process, you'll definitely get a better process throughout. So, right. I mean, you weren't, thank you, wife. I appreciate that. You know, I'm sure when you first podcasted, it wasn't a massive success day one, right? It's just a 100%. Learning process.
Yeah. I mean, anything that you do, you have to learn. And I think what you're hitting at is this. I've been talking about my business card, which I actually stuck up my detailer's helper business card, as I put it up on next to my monitor, because it's literally one of the dumbest things I've ever done in business. My actual title on detailer's helper business card says Chief Do Everything Guy. And I've been putting that, I've been using that as an example, not only to beat myself up a little bit about it, but also to recognize how far I've come. And I think that is the mentality that so many small business, you know, especially single operators, right? That's not the right approach. Sometimes it's necessary in the short term, but it's never going to get you, you're never going to be successful with that, you know, and I learned that the hard way also.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to give up. You know, you should try and work in my opinion, what's the most profitable parts of the business, or the stuff that you can't necessarily hand off right away. And so running it all the way back is like, you know, the guys that are not picking up the phone, they are going to get hurt pretty quick here in the next few weeks. Is like, this business has become, this is not COVID anymore. Let me just flat out say it. This is not 2020. This is not 21. This is not 22, where businesses and people were getting stipended, and people didn't drive as much, but they had a lot of extra like cash flow. So they're willing to spend it more. You just had to exist 2 years ago to accept money. This is very reminiscent of 2019. It's going to take maybe a sales conversation. It's going to talk, if you're not willing to talk to your customers, I don't think you'll be around for a few more years, if I'm just being honest. It's not enough to exist.
And back to your point, which is you have to know your numbers. We beat the crap out of those guys on the troubleshooting series that we did about knowing your numbers. And I've been talking about it forever. Anybody that runs a business talks about knowing your numbers. And I think if you don't know your numbers, you can't evaluate what pricing should be, where I can add people, where I can throw a VA in, or a full hire, or, you know, temp person or whatever. So,
and Jason Honoriness has that detail wise that breaks down your numbers. That's a fantastic system. If you don't know how to calculate your numbers, if you don't know how much you should be charging, if you don't know what your business is costing you, you know, it's a real thing. I've mentioned the word burden cost to a couple people, and people look at me like I've got 5 eyes. Burden cost is like if you have a person that's 50 grand a year and they're $24 an hour, did you really account for insurance, workman's comp, additional training, bonuses, vacations? A $24 an hour person really is probably costing you closer to 36 to 38. Burden cost is a real thing. So you can't really calculate what something should charge if you don't know if the $38 guy wasn't $22 or 24 to begin with.
And honestly, that's a great that is a great tool. We saw that a couple of times. And I do want to throw out a kudos to you. If you guys don't know this about Chris, this guy knows his numbers of his business better than anybody I've ever seen. And I'm talking about like all levels of business. So I've been consistently impressed with your ability to run through those. So great thing to emulate. Hey, do you want to talk about the new stuff that's coming?
Yeah.
Or is already here. We'll start with what I referred to as unicorn tears and fairy farts. I think is how I referred to to how Google a Business Accelerator works. I compared it to automatic transmissions, which I will build anything on a car myself except for automatic transmissions because I'm pretty sure they run off of those two things. Yeah. You guys are doing some magic with this Google Business Accelerator stuff. I've been in web for a long time, but I don't know how this works. So I want you to explain it to me and everybody else.
Yeah. And you might have to, I am sharing screen. We can kind of take a look and we get a lot of questions about the accelerator. So I don't know if you can see that on your side.
Yeah, I can.
Cool. So a lot of people have a question about what is a Google business. So I polled two people I talked to. I polled Nathan's Auto Care and I polled a super center just because they had mentioned it. So I'm going to walk through this a little bit. So Google Business Maps Accelerator, a lot of people think it's just posting. It's not. It's actually stacks and creations of signals around your physical map. So what this is saying, and I'll pull this up, and we're gonna put a spotlight on a good one first. Okay, so this is Nathan's Auto Care, ceramic coating and detailing. The guy never had a website. This is his first website. This is his first year of business. Looks pretty stellar. This is for ceramic coating, and what this is saying is, Nathan's business is the number one spot where it says 1. He's the number 3 spot. So if you look on your phone and you Google ceramic coating, this is his physical map location on every single spot. So it gets a little bit more hairier down by Milwaukee, probably because there's probably a lot more competition down there. And so this is an amazing tool. We've had a couple of people where we've said, you don't really need any additional work, but we're giving these audits out for free because we don't believe that you should be sold something unless you truly need it. Right now, if you compare this to,
wait, I want to ask a question real quick.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, if I am physically, so those row of 3 2s that's off the top left or whichever one you go, that means that's the result if I am standing physically in that spot on my phone searching for ceramic coating, right?
Yep. Okay. So this is like a 10-mile square radius around him. So if you're physically sitting up here and you're sitting in your car on Menominee and Landon Road and you search ceramic coating, he's coming up as the 4th one on the map pack itself.
Okay.
And the thing is, we've had this tool for a couple years, to be perfectly honest. It's just the way we are doing it is we only do it one way, which is Chris's way, which is unfortunately an angry way to do it. But we've had a couple businesses show us stuff like this. And a lot of times we've noticed the grid is like really small. Like, they can do this many points in a 1 mile. This is a 10-mile square radius. So this is realistically who you're going to affect with your business and its location.
And that's a lot of people in a 10-mile radius in a larger area. In that area in particular, that's a lot of people. Yeah,
this is probably sitting on 350,000 people right in here. And the reality is your Google map ranking is like the hardest thing to influence. The reason why is Google really does not want to give anybody except the most local authority. You have to be local. They want local and authority. Those are like super specific words. They want to make sure that you have a lot of reviews. They want to make sure you have a great website. They want to make sure you're posting updates using FAQs, and they want to make sure you're local. If you're not all of those things, it doesn't want to refer you. So in this example, it's a much different result. So this is detailing. Okay. So we can probably tell just from this example is that there's probably much more competition, right? And so not too surprising, but Nathan's business is literally brand new. I just want to kind of put that reminder out there is that literally this guy launched a business 2 weeks ago. So he already sold his first level 3 package within 24 hours of the website being up. So he paid for the entire site the first week. So
nice.
Kudos to Nathan. Just talked to him today. But, you know, if Nathan wants to push it more, could we do Google Business and really elope some of these people, right? Like jackrabbit over some of this? Yeah. This is an opportunity to me. You mean his average ranking is right around 11. And so we make all these stacks around here, go over, and we make all these little pieces. And so this is kind of like a real world result is that in March 28th, this gentleman was ranking 20 in all these spots for PPF. And after about 60 days, we kind of got to this point. So a lot of people have been hopping on that Google Business Accelerator. And a lot of people, sometimes we don't even need it. So like we ran one for a gentleman the other day and he's in the middle of nowhere. Of course, his
Bill Quinn, I think he just posted that. Bill Quinn posted that he talked to Pat and they're in a lower population. So it wasn't a good fit for them.
Yeah. So it's not a fit. That's why I want to encourage. We're not willing. We literally had this on our site and we said, take off the add to cart because some people don't necessarily need this. But we're finding about 70 to 80% of people definitely have some ability to grow it. But the other 30%, if they don't need it, let's not provide that service. And so the audit is free. It takes 10 minutes. We actually, Pat will actually do a Loom video going over your results ahead of time if you make an appointment. And then we'll go from there. So
Jessica asked, just real quick, Jessica Rook asked, is there a way to see this view as a current SEO client? Can you differentiate between those two things?
So currently this is not included in SEO because this is more similar to renting the map pack out. So these are manual signals that we have to do. So there's a reason why we don't call it SEO. This is an add-on to SEO. So SEO customers in their dashboard, if you opt to add this, it's $250 for two keywords. And that says that at the bottom here, right here, if you're already an SEO partner. So I would tell Jessica, make an appointment. We'll run an audit. A lot of times current SEO customers not necessarily might need it. Once again, it's an add-on. The only thing with this is it's kind of like ads. And what I mean by that is we're literally making digital signals over and over and over manually every single month. So that's what all these little signals are that you see on the screen. It's just over and over and over. So it's kind of, oh man, I look good there. My hair looks way better now. So it's a very manual process. And that's kind of the MO on that. I mean, I didn't mean to close screen, but I did want to pull up Supercenter because he had asked as well. Now keep in mind, he does not have a site up yet with us. So this is his current site. Kind of, don't take it the wrong way, kind of lackluster right now. Ceramic coating is spelled wrong, but we'll talk about that another time. This is just his base level site. So it's kind of not surprising that this is his results currently of kind of where he's ranking, which is essentially not at all, if we're just being honest. The middle point is right here in the middle where he's at. So if he walks 50 feet in either direction, he doesn't show up on for his own Google Map result for paint protection film. So that's why we pull stuff. Here's bed liner, and here's window tinting. No bueno. So that's examples. I mean, we'll get it better. So that's why we pull audits to see if it makes sense for the business.
So for a customer like that, they're able to go in and do the Google Business Accelerator without being a customer, without being a partner, or we want them to be a partner so that we can fix some of the things that we just saw, so that when the customer gets there, it's a higher degree of conversion, right? Does it do any good to point people to a lower converting website?
So right now we're limiting it to just roadmap partners. I mean, I'll kind of say this outright, is I want roadmap partners to be the most successful people that if they see a roadmap logo on the bottom of a website, for all intents and purposes, excuse my language, they know they're fucked if they do a different website. So, I mean, we've heard it numerous times before. Hey, you're doing my competitor's site. Can you even do one for me? If you're across the road from someone, no, we're not going to do a website for you. But if you're 10, 15, 20 minutes down the road, or if there's some pieces, we can do one. But we really want people to have a complete holistic solution, going back to what we talked about just 10 minutes ago of like doing Google Business Accelerator or doing SEO isn't going to do jack squat if you don't have a decent website. So I hate to break it to you. They all work together. Same thing. So to us, to offer the accelerator and not have a website that can convert those people from being found easier is a mismatched solution. It's kind of like why Kevin looks the way he does, even though I eat the same stuff as Kevin. Clearly somebody's doing something 100%. Different. Yeah. We had the same lunch here today, everybody. I hate to break it to you. And the same dinner. Why do you think Kevin looks that way? I will give you a hint. Kevin is converting something way different than I am.
That's funny. No, I mean, I think that's a great point, though, that we were talking about this whole annual marketing plan, right? And that's from a calendar standpoint. But I love the word holistic. I use that ironically to your last statement. I use that from a fitness component, right? From a fitness standpoint, we want to be, eating right, exercising, lifting, but also resting, sleeping, good mindset. All of those things is what makes you a healthy person. Yeah. And what makes you a healthy marketer, because that's at the end of the day, we're businesses and we're supposed to be marketing, is that holistic approach. So it's a great website. It's great copy. It's ads. It's, maps. It's Google My Business, Facebook, all of those things, but they all have to run together, right? Like if I pull the engine out of your car, your green monster, and drop in, a 4-cylinder out of an 84 Honda, it's not going to work very well. Right. Like it's so like we have to put the best components throughout the entire car.
Yeah. I mean, we used to do SEO for websites that we did not build. And the problem always was if design had issues, SEO can do, I hate when I say it like this because I know I'm going to get flack for this tomorrow. But the SEO team is word nerds, right? Like I'm like, I play the Austin Powers nerd alert, like nerd alert, just like like they're like, oh, the H1s are bad, nerd alert. And the design people make stuff beautiful, and then the whole goal is to be a holistic nature where it brings people in, they get enamored, and then they convert. And you kind of really need both entities. Mm-hmm. And that's what was the problem when we would just offer SEO or just design and not do both. And it's not to sell you something more than you need. I mean, trust me, we would have sold a lot more websites if we just said, yeah, we'll do the SEO, and honestly, it's just not, it doesn't make sense for you or us. Well,
because like you always say, we're not going to do it unless we can do it right.
Yeah, that's the company
because
motto.
The success of the success of the partner is what's 100% important to us, right? It doesn't do any good for us to have 1,000 people that are only marginally successful. We'd rather have 500 that are awesome successes.
Yep.
You want to talk about well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, here's just a quick tip since everybody's gonna fall asleep that we're pitching ourselves. If you can get your users who leave you a review, and if they can leave a photo of the car or the shop, Google right now is reacting about it's treating that almost like 10 reviews in place of one. So if you can get them to take a photo, it's a monster user generated signal. I'm just letting you know right now, SEO and everything is going towards user generated signals. So if you're getting reviews on Google Business, ask them for a photo. It's gonna start working heavier and heavier pretty quick here.
Which is, we talked about that on, some of the other episodes. It's like, take a photo with the customer before they leave your shop, give them the QR code to leave a review. Yep. Don't let them leave until they do it. Put them in a headlock, whatever it takes. Get that review. Headlock is the new business strategy we're going to use.
That's going to be the next episode name. Headlock.
I like it. We'll do it. You want to talk about victim versus victor?
Yeah. All right. So this is, I'm going to script the guy's name. His name is Nick Santonastasso. So basically he was a motivational speaker I saw last week, and he had this kind of like victim versus victor mentality. Now this is a guy who has like no legs. He's got one arm. He's just basically a torso, and he's speaking in front of all these people, and he's talking about a mentality state, right? It's called victim versus victor mentality. I wish I came up with this, but I love it. And the reason I talked about his body is that he's like, I could have been in a bed. I could have people, work on me for the rest of my life, and I could just sit there and not do anything. And I'd have this kind of like victim mentality that God or whatever didn't give me the limbs. This guy makes 7, almost 8 figures a year doing speaking engagements. So you can kind of tell where his mindset was going. So he had a great kind of piece here, and it was kind of really spoke well with it. And I kind of want to relate this to people who have shops right now that might be going through challenging time or gonna be going through challenging time and trying to break out of that, which is not everybody. There's a lot of people that are doing fantastic. Talked to several today. Is that he said, and I kind of relate it to my scenario. So I'll put in my words with my scenario. Is like when my mom passed, I didn't want to become a result of my mother's passing, if that makes sense. I didn't want to become the result of, woe is me, I'm going to change this. My mom said when she passed, if you got anything left, you do what you want and you'll be fine. And I left a major piece of corporate life, making pretty decent money. And I said, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to go ahead and just let the world cave on me because mom passed. And woe is me and all this stuff. And I kind of really took those words of like, you never know when your last day is your last. You don't know if you're going to get tomorrow. And I would say, you use that and kind of be the victor for your own self or your own situation. He put it in a scenario that his brother had passed away from, it was drug abuse. Like his brother passed away. His dad called him and his dad said, hey, I want you to call your sisters. I can't call them, and let them know about your brother. And he said, well, I could be really sad about my brother's passing, or I could be happy that he's finally at peace because he's gone through this numerous times, that he's kind of let it down, let it be. And I'm glad I can be there for my father, to be the champion to tell my sisters this terrible news and be there for them. So I kind of just relate it back to business ownership. I see a lot of people, and I see people in the chat, and I'm like, I look at like Melissa, I script her last name, Meha. I feel like I relate really well with her. Is like she's changed the way she's like looking at business, and she's becoming like, I'm going after it, and I'm going to take what's in my power or not my power. And she's going after like as much business as she can. That's a company that like has doubled and tripled up their revenue in the past year alone. this is not supposed to be a triple up year. There's businesses that are making double and triple what they normally are doing in a month. So if I could just relate it back, you can either be the victim of your situation that you're in today, or look at what can I do to make myself be the victor of every situation that I'm walking into. I don't know. I'm not a motivational speaker. I just thought that was kind of a neat thing that he went through. So, and how he looked at it and took a terrible, challenging time in his life and tried to rotate it to his benefit for others as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's that, being the hero of your own story, right? That's another way to put it. And really, I think so many of us, when we go through challenging times, we get so focused on the challenging times. I had a conversation with someone that actually last night where we were talking about, hey, I feel like a failure because I'm going through this challenging time. I'm like, you're not a failure. It's like this is just something you need to deal with. I used to tell our joke in the Davis family, and this is highly motivational, is, have you tried turning the suck knob down? Right?
Jesus Christ. If you don't know, to be a daughter to Kevin there's a lot of suck dial turned down is what he's telling
right. But
hold on, I can't go on a date with you. My dad told me the suck dial has to go down
that's right. Turn that suck knob down. That's a musician thing, by the way. There was a Far Side where it turned the musician. But all that to say, which means have you tried stopping whining about it and wallowing in your own situation and actually begun to take steps? First of all, positive mindset goes a long way. And that's what you're talking about.
State of mind, or are you in a suffering state of mind?
Yeah. And that's talking about what Nick has said. And ironically, there's a guy named Nick Vujicic, who's actually a preacher who literally has the same physicality as the other Nick, who also has a weird last name. So he's like an evangelist guy. But I thought it was when you said Nick and showed that picture, I saw a picture of him. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this guy like living two separate lives? But anyway, but the idea is, if you have a positive mindset where you look to the positivity of the situation. I went through this the other day with my coach, and we were talking about the get tos versus the have tos.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that I can say, oh, I have to get on and post on Google, Google My Business. Or you get to do that because you have great reviews and you have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And so there's so much of that stuff. Comparison is a thief of joy was the other thing we talked about, us comparing ourselves with other businesses.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. And the guys that don't compare, you could just tell the confidence is so much there.
And we changed that like things that I don't have to have I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I actually have been doing this. I've been journaling this around my own life to say, hey, have you noticed that you have a great backyard or whatever, rather than crap, this other person has a better whatever, and so going through those kind of things is super important. So change your mindsets that's
absolutely. I had a guy today. He's like, I'm slow. This was his first week with a website, first year of business. He's like, I'm slow. I'm like, dude, you're 3 weeks in and you're slow. I'm like, okay, I hate to break it to you. This is the first month, all right? But I said, opportunity, right? Opportunity. Why are you not going to be slow in August and September and October? What are we going to do today to make sure that we're not thinking about this as much or as heavily? Because you know what? Not everybody's got a lot of time. What can we do to make changes? And he immediately sent me a message. He's like, I totally just wrote up that newsletter that you were talking about and you've been pitching to me for 8 months. And I'm like, there you go, man. Dude, you just totally changed your year, right there, just making a little bit.
Well, they say most people either have money and no time, and so they have to buy time with money.
Yeah.
Or you have no money and tons of time, which means you can buy money with your time. Yeah. Because if if you're slow, you should be working your ass off on every way possible to do what you just talked about with Melissa. Like, go after it. Do everything you can to take that next step.
Yep. Yeah, you can absolutely do it.
Do you want to talk about instant price generator real quick?
Yeah, let's just do it. I'll have some more on this.
We'll do a little bit of a teaser on some of the stuff.
Yep. So this is one of these things is like it's probably not going to be a fit for everybody, but we intentionally brought it out and are bringing it out starting in a couple weeks. So it's an instant price generator, and what I mean by that is if somebody wants it for tint or PPF, that's where we're currently offering it only. Don't ask us about ceramic coating. Don't ask us about detailing. Just hold on. Hold your horses. So you'll be able to say what size of vehicle, what type of vehicle do you have, what type of package are you looking for, and it will instantly and dynamically change the price based on the information you've given us. So I'm going to just be 100% transparent. This is not a great answer if you just started business 2 weeks ago. This is a good answer if you are a very big authority and you're trying to pre-qualify customers and you want to immediately tell them, I have a standard, a ceramic, a better, a best. Here's my windshield. Here's my 2-side windows. Here's my rear. You can get every single price out of this. When we tested this did really well as pre-qualifying people who are just ready to buy. I have this type of vehicle. I need the front 2 windows done. I want the best ceramic you have or the best carbon tint you have. We tell them it's an estimated price, right? It's even got a little tooltip window that's popping up. You probably can't see it on your side. This really did a great job of pre-qualifying people. So there is a cost to this thing. We're going to have some cost coming out. It's a low recurring monthly. If we could do it for free, we would. I will give you a hint. This cost, if you were to rebuild this dynamic system, it would cost you thousands to run. We're not going to be anywhere near that, but we'll be having pricing coming out here in the next couple weeks and launch. If you're interested and you want a demo, I'm sure Pat can give you a demo. You can reach out to us at info@8bit creative. Like I said, you'll be able to buy this for PPF or tint. And we'll be kind of showing more about this in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, that's the MO. So we're just
that is badass. That's super, like, that's awesome stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to get better with it. We're going to try and show better heat rejection and stuff like that. It actually looks fantastic on mobile. I'm showing it on desktop, but mobile is kind of where it's really shines the most. But if you're tired of getting people like, how much is a damn front partial for a truck versus a VW GTI, you can at least give them a tighter swing now. So I think that'll make life a lot easier, I think, for a lot of guys.
Yeah, and to your point, pre-qualified. So that we talk about tire kickers in our presentation, right? Like that gets the people that are tire kickers. Well, I thought I could do the whole thing for $99. Well, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So that way they don't even, maybe you disqualify and pre-qualify at the same time.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's going to be good for someone who's got 400 to 500 visitors for a site. Just getting, how this goes. Consumers, man, they just are not paying attention sometimes. And I'm not even saying this is going to 100% stop that. But if you're getting guys we tested this on one guy's site and he's like, I'm closing 95% with this thing. He wants everybody to go to this thing now instead of his contact form, which I get. I totally understand, but it ain't going to stop shit. And I'm just like, no. So,
but it's another great tool if you're running ads or doing links or talking on podcasts or whatever. You can drive people directly to that if you really want.
You could even run it after your contact form as the thank you page.
Yeah,
that's a real thing. Like, okay, you inquired about tint, boom, and then run them after they fill out their form. Run them right back to this system, and you'll tell them, hey, if you have a GTI or you're looking for carbon tint versus ceramic tint, you can give them pricing right up front. It's not the downsides of this. And me, I just like to be transparent, is like, if there's a difference between a Ford F-150 and a Dodge Ram, this is not the system. It is more detailed than starting at price. But if you're looking for something that's like this Dodge Ram is this, and this is a Ford F-150, and da 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 da. It's not going to delineate down to the trim, the model. It's just still generalization. So it might not be a fit for every scenario, but I think it gets us that much closer to pre-qualification as soon as we can get it.
Well, because people may not know the difference between a friggin' Jeep Wagoneer, whatever the big one is called. I think it is the Wagoneer.
Yeah, the Wagoneer.
Yep. Or a GTI, right? They may, like, for some reason, they may not comprehend that those are two drastically different vehicles. So this will help steer them in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Well, this has been awesome, man. I think we philosophized a little bit. We educated a little bit.
We basically soft sold. We hard sold.
We soft sold. We hard sold. Medium sold.
We medium sold. We shoe sold.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to doing more of these and getting into more of some of this stuff. If you guys are listening and watching, we just did this in the pro group. We're going to kick this out publicly also.
Yeah.
We'll do this in another couple of weeks is what the timeline is. If you're listening to this in any form and you want us to answer specific questions, if you want us to go into specific topics, please let us know. You can email me, Kevin at 8bitcreative.com. Just put, live ideas or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll compile those and we can talk about them the next go around.
Yeah. We might do Q&A in the group to compile. I'd say Kevin, you can email Kevin. It would be a great spot. And everyone's
always do like, an ask me anything.
Yep. Everyone's like, can Kevin inquire to this? Can Kevin talk to me about this? Can Chris get on the phone? Is Chris there? Is Chris available? Is Kevin there? Kevin, are you there to answer my call? I think we're going to use this as like, hey, we're willing to answer this and we're going to try and be more vocal and communicative with you guys. But this is probably the spot where we kind of want to try and kick out a lot of answers from Kevin or myself, and go from there. So
yeah, that'll be great. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon, Chris.
All right. See you guys. Have a good one.